So next up, we have Jill Horsky, Global Innovation Director from Mondelēz, and be talking about flipping on its head the big FMCG innovation model. So over to Jill.
Hi, everybody. So it's great being here today and just talking a bit about the innovation model and how big FMCG and food companies have been innovating the last few years. And I think one of the most interesting notions is that, the innovation approach in the food industry and the FMCG industry has actually not changed much in the last 30 years. So for any of you on the line that are either working in large FMCG, CPG companies or consultant to them, you've all known very well the term stage gate, which is the famous model that you see here on the left, that actually you have different stages, and each stage you need to mitigate risk and persuade management to give you more resources because you mitigated risk. This model was invented in 1986 by Professor Robert Cooper, and it's amazing that the whole world has changed probably 10 times since 1986. But we're still all of us using this approach. So there's definitely a time and an opportunity to change that. And I think one of the big things we also see in innovation processes, a lot of you have seen, is what we see in this funny cartoon on the right-hand side. And we all sit in a brainstorming session and we come up with all these great ideas. And at the end we say, you know what, let's just pick up the idea with the greatest potential to keep things exactly as they are, because none of us really want to change the status quo. So we in Mondelēz actually created a year and a half ago a new team. It's called Snack Futures. It's an independent innovation and venture hub. And we are focused, for those that don't know, Mondelēz International is the biggest food and the biggest snack company in the world, biggest chocolate and biscuit company with brands such as Cadbury, CDM, Toblerone, Milka, Oreo. And what we do two things. We actually invent new brands and new businesses for the company, mainly in the space of well-being premium snacks. And there are examples here on the left-hand side. And we also invest in new brands in these areas. We do basically what is called the venture investment in some startups in those areas. But the way we work is what sets us apart. And we have three fundamental elements in the way we work. We're very agile and we like to be experimental and we move very quickly. We are very focused on progress versus perfection, and we're curious and collaborative. We work with the outside world and we always ask why and how can we do things differently. But the other piece is, and I'm sure all of you remember the A-Team, for those of you that were living in the 80s, not born after. The A-Team was this amazing team of guys. Each of them had a skill set, and that's really part of what we try to do in a multi-billion-dollar company. We like to think we are like the A-Team, but we are intrapreneurs, not entrepreneurs. We're intrapreneurs, and that means you need to know how to work in a large company to make all the changes and solve problems within the challenges of the company. And the last thing is we're very consumer-centric. Everything we do, we talk with consumers live in their world, in real settings, and that's where we learn what to do. We don't do PowerPoints, and we don't do consumer research in online tests. We actually talk to consumers. That's many pictures of me in their real life setting, and that's where you get the best learnings. Thank you.
Thank you, Gil. Brilliant presentation. Appreciate it. And I love the fact that you managed to get the A-Team into your presentation. Who was your favorite character?
Absolutely. I loved all of them, but my favorite was actually B.A. Baracus, or how he was called as Mr. T.
Mr. T.
That's the gentleman on the right-hand side, was my big idol when I was growing up.
Excellent. Face was my favorite.
Face was also a good guy.
So you talked really, you talked a lot about agility, and I guess more than ever, that's a hugely important skill in marketing teams. How do you actually implement that? Are your teams actually trained in kind of agile ways of working, or is it more of a culture that you've tried to build?
Yeah, so, yes, the answer is both. I mean, the teams are trained, but, trainings at the end of the day, it's all about culture and behaviors. And I think we like to practice what we preach. So, we really try to, we've all been classically trained, but with working in a big company, you get a lot of great skill sets of being methodological and systematic and knowing how to analyze things. But at many times that takes very long.
Yeah.
So I think we also try to embrace some of the things we actually see in the outside world and the startups, and how we ask ourselves, how would an entrepreneur assess that? Would he or she really go and spend $20,000 on a market research, or would he just put an hypothesis down in a farmer's market for 2 days and confirm if consumers like it or not? And that's what we try to do.
Nice. And Many would say that the FMCG way has been building brands from kind of top down, and some of the D2C brands that we know are almost inverting the pyramid and starting at the bottom with the audiences that have intent and doing exactly what you're saying. So how during this period of rapid change and people moving to e-commerce, are there any examples you can give of some of the experiments you've thrown into market to pick up on consumer behavior?
Yeah, so I mean, we ourselves, first of all, as I mentioned, in my deck before, there was we've developed 4 different brands in the last year, and one of them is called Dirt Kitchen. It's a snack brand that is based on vegetables, and we launched it in LA in a test market just in February. I was in LA in February, just when COVID hit. And, we very quickly pivoted from selling it in stores to D2C, to online. And, the beauty of online is you get very, very powerful data. You can do a lot of A/B testing. You can really nail who's your consumer target, what's the right price point, what's the right proposition, much faster than in retail. In retail, you sometimes need to wait 6 months to get those learnings, and that's after you have spent millions of dollars on that. So definitely D2C is a great channel.
And I think that's a really interesting point. How are you trying to, from your division, which is clearly experimenting, trying new things, launching new brands, how are you trying to change the overall culture of a business that has been around for decades and has known how to build brands with longevity? How do you go about trying to change the overall culture of the organization?
No, so that's a great point. I mean, we're a small team. We're a team of 10 people, and the company has 80,000 people. So I think we like to basically inspire the other team members, and we do it with a lot of internal communications. We do a lot of lunch and learns and sessions, and we share what we're doing. Obviously, at the moment, we're still small. We're not moving the needles. If you do a new CDM or Cadbury Dairy Milk or a new Oreo flavor, that will be 10 times bigger than creating a completely new business. But it's actually future-proofing the company. So the areas we are working on are areas that actually might be the future of the company in 5, 3, 7 years. And we're doing these experiments and enabling the company to be ready when that change happens. But it's a lot about internal communications, being open. We get a lot of other team members. We let them experiment and work with us and let them kind of have a bit of an experience working in these different ways.
Fabulous. Some superb messages for marketers everywhere, I think. So thank you so much for your time.